Hi, this is Steve Webster for another Today's Thought. Thanks for joining today. So, today we're going to talk about navigating AI as a Christian. So, a little background with AI. Of course, it stands for artificial intelligence, and it does mimic the brain. The brain has neural networks. It too has neural networks. Unlike the brain, where a neural network is made of neurons, and one neuron is this amazing thing that was created by God, in my opinion. And then when you consider the neural network with neurons, you can get to the quadrillions of capacity, which is quite amazing. So we have to mimic that with large data centers, very fast chips, and so forth. Now, even though it has neural networks, it can go at the surface level, then it goes deep. So think about a child, a toddler, or something like that, where the child's brain is trying to understand this is an apple, this is a cat, this is a dog. Apple's red, it's food, and you eat it. So there's these categories. Uh, the difference between a cat and a dog, it needs to be trained. It gets it wrong. It needs to be trained. It gets it wrong. It needs to be trained. Then you get deeper and you say, well, it's this particular cat. It's either mature, or it's a kitten, or this type of cat or dog, or so forth. So to do this with a machine, AI, what have you, it the technology has finally caught up with the hardware to allow us to go quickly now. Fast GPUs, it's called, over the CPU, and there's other things after that too. So that's basically what AI is. Now, can you train an AI with misinformation? Yes, you can. Can AI be biased in that sense? Yes, it can, because it's just a machine. Is AI like the human brain? Not entirely, right? Because in the human brain, we have emotions, we have empathy. It's not capable of doing that at all. Uh, if it's very good at patterns, it's getting better at patterns. But if there's something brand new, it still takes a human to say, well, this is new. There's no really pattern similar to it to have AI to assist you with that. You have to get it going yourself. At this point, it's better at being very specific. So if we train it with our own PDFs, knowledge bases, and so it becomes a master of a subset in a one way of like your information, it can be pretty good with that, right? But then if you go to a large language model to say, well, I've been training, millions of things, it's like, well, okay, uh, it's not proprietary in a sense; it's more general, but the two can work together. Then you have things like, well, what if I have a AI helper or agent that I may have one that says, well, I'm good at managing, and I'll know which AI agent to call. So it has some of that capability. When it comes to video, it's getting very good at lip syncing. Uh, and then it's like, okay, if I'm a organization, nonprofit or for-profit company, let's say, who's aware of my information? Well, is it China? Because I know China has this agreement with all Chinese companies to say at any time, if we want to go in and take over and grab whatever is on your servers, we may do so. Well, that could be unsettling in this regards. So it doesn't matter who's making it. Can we trust their terms and their policies? Yes, they may have it, but are they doing it on their end? And the hope is yes. So there is some trust behind it. And then when I talked about the biases, it can be biased, right? Garbage in, garbage out sort of thing. Not too long ago, I had some fun with AI conversation, and it basically got to a point to say, you, my prompting was naive and unrealistic. It's like, well, no, no, it wasn't. And I'm talking to a machine. Machine, I think, just insulted me. So it's kind of weird in that sense. So, what else about AI? Well, I think we need to fall back on something called a premise. What is the premise of something that is said in a statement, or maybe a premise that leads to a question? I'm trying to get better at identifying a premise. And then once we identify a premise, is that premise true or false? Since this, then this. Well, if I don't agree with the premise, then I can ignore the statement or the question and move on, right? But if it's true, then you got my ear. So are we doing that? So when it comes to being a Christian, the last point I want to make is being able to pivot. So AI is actually an opportunity because it's out there. People are talking about it. There's all these crazy cool advancements they're doing to help us. But to pivot, it's kind of like this. It's like, oh, just like AI can do this, that reminds me of God's word, or that reminds me of what Jesus said, or that reminds me of a biblical event. We are pivoting. We're pivoting. So I think that's important. So locally, I'm facilitating a small group from our church. They are known as city groups in this case. It's called Navigating AI as a Christian. And I will leave the link below if you're interested, if you're in the area. And if for some reason you find this interesting, then I am open to maybe every other week, maybe go online with a different group of people or same group of people. It doesn't matter. But we're going to meet locally starting tonight, every other week, about 5 times, which is what, 10 weeks worth. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching, and God bless.